Hello, Berkeley. Who's ready to do this? Thank you so much for coming out tonight. I know there's a million other places you could be right now. And especially for those of you who may have been out knocking doors and making phone calls, raise your hand if you were doing some of that. So we won back the House, the left did. My name is Jamie Mulligan, and I'm with Indivisible Berkeley. And the great thing about winning back the House is there is a check to President Trump and the Republican leadership, which is good. Come on, that gets a clap. There's a check. Who can say subpoena? Okay. So the thing is, though, we're here, right? And we're here because the second that happened, the president set into motion a situation that imperils the Mueller investigation. Can I get a boo? I know that's right. Can we say constitutional crisis? That was rough. We'll try something else next time. But before we officially kick off, turn to the person next to you just real quick, especially if it's someone you haven't met yet, and thank them for being here. So one thing we know from a few years of organizing and more is that we're stronger together. And one of the things that we're most excited about being here in Berkeley is that we have elected officials who care and who are working for us. So with that, it is my pleasure to introduce the mayor. You want to come over here for a few short remarks?
Well, first I want to start out by thanking all of you. You gave over a year of your time calling voters throughout the country, calling voters throughout the state of California, and look what we accomplished. We flipped several seats in California, and the Democrats took back the Congress. And that really is a testament to grassroots organizing and people power. But how did the president respond to this incredible victory and also this incredible rebuke of his divisive policies? He fired the Attorney General of the United States, and in his place put in the Attorney General's office somebody who has openly been critical of the Mueller investigation and raises great concern about the future of this investigation and whether we'll ever get to the truth of what really happened in the 2016 election. Putting a fox guarding the hen house, essentially. And so we are facing a constitutional crisis. No one is above the law, not even the President of the United States. He has no right to undermine an independent judicial investigation just because he wants to protect himself. And this is very similar, as we know, to the Saturday Night Massacre, President Nixon firing the Attorney General at the time because of the special prosecutor's investigation into Watergate. And just like that gave serious concern around the credibility of our democracy and our judicial process, this gives us serious concern about whether the investigation will be allowed to continue and whether we'll ever get to the truth. The effort to obstruct justice in order to protect the president is outrageous and must be challenged. And certainly while we knew that it was only a matter of time before Sessions was fired and before the president took bold steps to undermine Mueller, little did we know it would be right after the election to create a distraction from the election results, from the major rebuke that he received by the voters of the United States. And also, not surprisingly, it's been rumored that Mueller is wrapping up his investigation with findings to be released in the next few months or even weeks. So the timing is quite suspicious. We know that events have unfolded since the election that show that we need to check this president. Kavanaugh officially takes his seat on the Supreme Court, while Ruth Bader Ginsburg, all of our prayers go out to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And Trump must be voted out in 2020, if not impeached, or we will have a supermajority conservative Supreme Court for at least a generation. We saw yesterday's effort to ban a CNN correspondent because he openly disagrees with them. The attacks on the press are just simply incredible. And another mass shooting adds to the growing trend for the need to take serious efforts to address gun control that this administration will never take. So we need to take action. We call on the acting Attorney General, Matthew Whittaker, to recuse himself from the Mueller investigation. We call on Congress to honor the rule of law and not allow this investigation to be impeded either directly or indirectly by cutting off funding. And we call for bipartisan legislation to create protections that will prevent any interruption with this investigation. And with Democrats soon to be in control of the House and with a few Republican senators, this is doable. We must get to the truth of what happened. An independent investigation must continue. We must demand that this independent investigation continue under an independent special counsel's office. And regardless if President Trump cares about it or not, we deserve to know the truth as a country. This is our country, this is our government, and we will not stand idly by while our president protects himself and undermines our democracy. So Speaker Ryan and the House Judiciary Committee, we call on you to begin hearings into the abuse of power and obstruction of justice by President Trump. Let's move immediately to create a Watergate-style committee to investigate Russian interference in Trump's obstruction of justice while this investigation continues. So in closing, these are very, very challenging times for our country and for our democracy, but that's why we're here to say that no one is above the law, that we must honor the rule of law, and that we will hold this president accountable for all that he has done to undermine our democracy. So thank you very much.
Can we get one more big round of applause for the mayor for coming out tonight? So this is 2018, right? So you know we have a hashtag. Who's excited about using the hashtag? Anyone? Yes. Okay. It is Protect Mueller Berkeley. So if you're snapping photos of speakers and stuff and you're posting, please use Protect Mueller Berkeley. Sound good? Can I get a clap for that? All right, I'm going to introduce our state senator. Thank you for being here. Come on up.
Thank you, Indivisible Berkeley, for mobilizing us. I'm Nancy Skinner. I'm your state senator. Good evening, East Bay. Good evening, Americans. I rarely open any talk I give with good evening, Americans, but I do so today because we are Americans, and we are Americans that believe in the integrity of one person, one vote. We are Americans who believe in a free and independent press that can expose. We are Americans that believe in an independent judiciary that respects our Constitution. And we are Americans that believe in a democracy that fights back on totalitarianism and fascism. And that is what we are seeing right now. We are seeing a rise in totalitarianism. We are seeing a rise in what appears like fascism right here in our country, led by 45. I'm not gonna, he who shall not be named, okay? 45. Now, our mayor referenced the Saturday, what was it called? The Saturday Night Massacre. I always forget what happened. The Watergate stuff, right?
Watergate scandal.
Oh, okay. Nixon did not get away with his shenanigans. We are not gonna let 45 get away with his. If Nixon can be taken down solely for, now we know he did worse, but still, it was primarily because he broke into his opponent's headquarters. What are we facing with 45? We are facing Russian interference in our democracy. We are facing potentially a person in the White House who financially is controlled by Putin and Russia. And we are facing someone in the White House who is so fearful of those things coming out that he would fire Sessions and put in a hack like Whittaker. A hack who's already said that none of us have any business looking at the president's finances and who has called the investigation a witch hunt. At least Sessions had the level of ethics to recuse himself from that investigation due to his role in the campaign, in the presidential campaign. But clearly, Trump, 45, has no ethics whatsoever and is so fearful right now, has ripped out Rothstein, anyone who he thinks might get at the truth that we know so threatens our democracy and our Constitution. So yes, we are in a constitutional crisis, and we call on Congress now to stand up, both parties, and do your job. Protect our Constitution. Congress, do your job. This is not about whether...
Do your job.
This is about us. This is about America. It's not about whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. It is really about the integrity of our Constitution and our country. And they had that ability to see that towards the end of Watergate. And they have seen it, and I'm referring to the Red Party now, in other instances. But for some bizarre reason, they are blinded by 45. And we have got to rip off that blindfold. Rip it off. And get to the truth that we deserve. Now, there was one other point I wanted to make. So let me look at my little notes, which I haven't looked at yet. The free and independent press. Now, I bring that up again because, of course, as we know, it is 45's favorite preoccupation to attack the press and to call it fake news. Now, sadly, we on the left, for many years, were very critical of the press. Now, appropriately at times, we are critical of the press. And we referred to the press as corporate controlled. And in many times, that was the case. But we need now to embrace a free and independent press and to demand that we have a free and independent press and to push back on 45's efforts to discredit their search for the truth, because we need every single effort to search for that truth and uncover the potentially treasonous acts that 45 has engaged in. Treasonous, potentially treasonous acts. So, we need the truth. We need it now. That's why we're gathered. I know you all are in it for the long haul. I thank you for all the work you did to flip the House, and I thank you for all the work that we all are going to do to hold 45 accountable, to protect Mueller, to keep that investigation, the integrity of it, and to get the truth out. Thank you.